She walked into the boutique to celebrate a hard-earned victory. Minutes later, her dress was torn from her body, her dignity stripped in front of a crowd, and millions online. But what they didn't know was that this wasn't the end of her story. It was the beginning of a revolution stitched in gold, a story of grace, pain, and power reclaimed. Kiara Harlow walked through the boutique with quiet elegance, her heels clicking softly on the marble floor. A long day at work hadn't dimmed her spirit. She had just earned her promotion, the first black woman in her firm to do so in over a decade. And she wanted to buy something special to mark the moment. Her eyes settled on a flowing indigo gown, simple but breathtaking. The fabric reminded her of ocean waves, serene but strong. She smiled gently as she held it to her body, the way one might cradle something sacred. In the fitting room, she slipped into the dress and stepped out into the main area to see herself in the larger mirror. It was perfect. A soft curve at the waist, a high neckline, and the kind of drape that made her feel both powerful and at peace. Then came the accusation. "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to take that off and come with us." The voice belonged to a store clerk, her tone clipped and accusing. A security guard and a police officer stood behind her. Kiara turned, confusion settling across her brow. "Excuse me? You were seen removing tags and placing items into your bag." Kiara remained calm. "That's not true. I've only tried on this one dress. You're welcome to check the fitting room." The officer didn't respond. Instead, he reached for her purse. Kiara instinctively stepped back. His hand grabbed her arm. There was a loud tear. The delicate strap of the gown snapped, and the dress slipped from her shoulder, baring her torso. The room fell into silence, then erupted into whispers. Phones were lifted. Cameras clicked. Laughter, pity, cruel curiosity. She stood there, humiliated, half-dressed, but never undignified. Her chin remained lifted. Her eyes, though filled with tears, never looked down. She took a deep breath, adjusted what fabric she could, and walked out without raising her voice. They found nothing in her bag. No stolen items. No apology. The video went viral. Strangers debated her worth, her body, her attitude. Some said she overreacted. Others turned her pain into a meme. But Kiara did not crumble. At home, she laid the torn gown across her sewing table. She stared at it for hours, and then she began to stitch. Not just to repair, but to transform. 3 months later, Kiara stood behind the curtain of her debut fashion show. The collection was called Unstitched. Every piece told a story, not of tragedy, but of resistance. Frayed edges, bold seams, patchwork panels painted with words like "Grace under fire" and "Dignity isn't optional." Models of all shades, shapes, and histories walked the runway, each one embodying Kiara's message. "You may tear our clothes, but you will not strip our humanity." When Kiara took the stage in the reworked indigo gown, now adorned, with gold thread spelling "Still Standing," the audience rose to its feet. Fashion. Critics hailed her a visionary. Survivors of racial profiling sent her messages of gratitude. Her story was no longer one of shame, but of transformation. The officer was quietly removed from duty. Kiara never spoke his name again. "This isn't about revenge," she said in an interview. "It's about reclaiming what was always ours, our stories, our space, our strength." Years later, her dress would be displayed in a museum, not because of what was done to her, but because of what she chose to do next. Kiara Harlow remained what she had always been, a gracious black woman, unbroken, unbought, and unforgettable.